yeah, it's nice to be here again on Opa Life Therapy. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of sections as regard relationships these days, and then today we are going to be discussing about relationships and differences. Yeah, so I've been able to establish in my previous video that relationship is all about interpersonal relationship and bonding with one another. It could be cultural, it could be individual, it could be opposite sex, whatever, that they are bonding. Everybody's bonding. So today I'm going to be talking about relationships and differences. One thing I want you to understand is that differences comes as a result of the things you grow up with, the understanding, the ideology and the value, the beliefs that you grow up with. Now, for somebody that grew up in Igbo land, you don't expect the person to come and greet you and kneel down for you. It's not possible, because they were not, the ideology they gave to them was based on their cultural perspective. Now, for somebody that grew up in Yoruba land, you should expect by the time they greet you, they will kneel down, because they believe if you don't kneel down, you don't have respect. You have to learn to kneel down. Now that is it. That is how everybody grow up, and it has actually made every one of us to grow up with different perspective, ideologies and differences in life. For somebody in their family, they don't care. They enter free, pick whatsoever they like. And for somebody in their family, daddy please cannot take that cake in that fridge, and the daddy will be like, you can go. And if that person there goes at that daddy's back to take it without informing the daddy, is voila. So you have to understand that differences develop in us based on how we were brought up, based on our perception, how we see life, how we interpret things around us, based on how we were brought up, our upbringing, our ideologies, the beliefs, the things that we are being taught with, the level of education, the level of exposure, the level of how do I put it, understanding, the level of depth that we have in the things that surround us, in the way we grow, in what we believe in what we don't believe in. Those are the things that make us grow up and separate ourselves and say, this one is good, this one is not good, this one is my life, this one is not my life. And that's why you see that at some point, let me say from age 16 upward, a child begins to unlearn some things that the child feel that they've taught him or her right from while he was growing. My mommy taught me this, and I feel personally that the level of things I've seen around me, these things, that's why it seems like they will tell you that a generation is different than another generation. Why? Because the level of exposure and civilization is increasing, and because it's increasing, it's having effect on our ideologies, it's having effect on our differences, it's having effect on how we think and how we see things and how we interpret things around us, in our family, in our environment. You can see that some people can grow up from the same family, and you just discover that all of them don't have the same ideologies, they don't have the same life, they don't have the same thinking. And you're like, what's happening? Is it not the same father that brought no, even the same twins, two identical twins, fine, they come together to the world by nature, but by nature they will not have the same ideologies of life. This is why differences grow. So when you begin to look at people's differences, and you begin to look at another person and say you are better than that person based on that differences, that's prejudice. You tend to look at it and better, this one is not better, this one is, you didn't grow up with the same ideology of life, you didn't grow up from the same place, you didn't grow up with the same exposure, you didn't grow up with the same knowledge. So why would you have the same differences? You can't. So when you begin to nag, when you begin to label people, when you begin to judge people based on the fact that they don't grow up the way you grew up, that is actually prejudice, and it's not good. Because the moment you are allowing prejudice and discrimination set into the way you see people around you, you will not be able to build healthy relationship with people. One of the things that you have to set aside when it comes to building healthy relationship with people is prejudice and discrimination. Because you cannot compare your life with another person's life. Neither can you compare the way your life is being programmed to be lived to another person's life. We all have different paths and different ways in life. We all have different do's and don'ts, and another person has different do's and don'ts. I can't compare my experience to another person's experience in life and begin to justify and judge people from my own experience. It's not possible. Now, one of the reasons we still have discriminations, we still have people separating themselves, and is because we still live by prejudice, we live by discrimination, we live by our own ideologies, because we want people to live by our own ideologies. The very day you see that Igbo and Yoruba sit in a particular place and they are very close with one another, and you see that it's because those people have been able to unlearn a lot of things about their background, and they are exposed to things that makes them see things from a similar point of view. So if you don't learn to remove prejudice and discrimination from how you relate with people, you might not really be able to have a good relationship with people, because everyone cannot be on the same page of life, everybody cannot be perfect, and everybody cannot have the same ideology. It's if you check the scriptures too, it's biblical. If you check whatsoever religion, it seems that everything has its own rules. So that means that you must learn to relate with people based on, not based on how you want them to be, but based on who they are. Because everybody will always have differences, and the earlier you come to the understanding of this, the earlier you start building an healthy relationship with people. As a psychologist, one of the things I've understand that everyone cannot be the same. We are not raised with the same experience. We come from different backgrounds, and we go with different experience. Until you begin to work in the consciousness of this, you won't expect too much from another person. If Iyabisi born 14 children, does not mean that all the 14 will be the same. There will be one that is different, there will be one that is worse, there will be one that is better, and even fingers are not equal. So you have to learn to come to that understanding and that ideology that we are all not the same. We do not grow up the same way. We are not exposed to the same thing. And majorly, our experience determines our differences. If you are not experiencing what is right, we might not have a differences that is right. I hope with this little understanding of mine, I've been able to shed more light into relationships and difference. And by this, you'll be able to have a different perspective. I mean, how you interpret things and how you see people around you, and be able to build an healthy boundary with them. But till then, I want you to look at the mirror right now, look at yourself and say, I am who I am because of everything that surrounds my life, and I chose to become better and not bitter. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We'll meet you again next time. Bye bye.